technology is here, and it's reached Africa, but also more importantly, it's now at the stage where it's able to reach every kind of beneficiary, every stage or tier of society. So it's almost like we've entered this era of digital humanitarianism, if you like, and that's obviously happening all over the world, not just Africa, of course. But now, when you speak about the silver lining, we know that, and many other people will know that, many stakeholders know that, many governments will know that. But how can we accurately and sort of tangibly communicate that to these sort of last mile beneficiaries, if you like, the people on the front lines who really need to see that silver lining, but perhaps haven't felt it yet?
I think from a Kenyan perspective, by default, even without, in quotes, letting them know, it has actually picked up automatically. Everybody, when you think Kenyan, you think technology, everybody thinks mobile money. So by default, and the government did a fantastic job. They zero rated a lot of the taxes that are involved in terms of transacting by mobile money. So by default, without even having to tangibly let the last mile embrace the tech, by default that did, because in the city, it was not uncommon. You hear people saying, if I earn, for example, $1,000 a month, out of that $1,000, I will probably have less than $100 in cash throughout the month, at best. In the city, it's vice versa. $900 would be transacted in cash. So now we're seeing that trend also now start to have a level playing field in terms of what we see in the city, in terms of what we see in the village, because the guy in the village is saying, oh, this is almost free. It is safe for me. It minimizes the chance for me to get infected with COVID. And all of a sudden, people are finding other benefits, such as it's easy to account for. Because if I have $500 in my pocket and I spend it in cash, at the end of the day, you ask me what I did with it, I have no idea. But if I spend it on mobile money or on credit card, it's very easy to say, I actually did go out. I went out to the pub. Yeah. I went out to the market. I went out to the supermarket, and this is how I spend my cash. So tangibly, we have been subconsciously, we've been able to adopt some of this in the last mile. And then fine above that, I can't, of course, there's no way I would miss the chance to talk about what we've done with the government here as well. So the government has also seen, they've got this huge pot of subsidy or help that they want to get to the village, but you don't want to give out cash. So how do you do it? You also leverage again on technology. So we've been able to give what we have called e-vouchers, which is simply an SMS that goes out from the government that says to a farmer, you qualify for 500, for example, 500 shillings of subsidy. Can you go to a participating supermarket or outlet and redeem your voucher? So largely it has been conscious, but also subconscious, because the need was there. We did not want to transact in cash. Yeah. We wanted to minimize interaction, again, to curb on the spread of COVID-19.
Would you say then that, I mean, it sounds like from what you're saying that the biggest kind of tangible beneficial impact that can happen or that can emerge from using technology in this way, in this sort of humanitarian way that we've been talking about, the biggest part of it, or the biggest reason why it works, is because of the measurability, the trackability of what actually goes on. Like you mentioned, you go into town with $900 in cash. Whoa, where did that all go? It's only been one day, or most of that's gone already. But if you have a mobile money account, or if there's some way to intelligently track that, there's a sort of an accountability to the user, to themselves. And also if you're using e-vouchering for where resources actually need to be accountably and transparently allocated and spent, then that measurability is probably the most important thing. Leon, you mentioned it. You said you can't manage what you can't measure, and that's a great way to put it, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And I mean, if you've got, as Stephen points out, if you've got a pot of subsidy and what you want as government or as an agency is you want to make sure that that pot of subsidy gets spread as far as possible and is utilized as best as possible. So the only way you can do that is by understanding the size of the problem you have, because you've got your denominator. The denominator that you're going to divide it by is the pot of money. So you need to know what the numerator is. You need to be able to count everybody that's involved and be able to work it out, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah.
But anyway, so in without being able to understand the size of the problem, you almost start with a blank sheet of paper in terms of being able to proportion your response. So you need to understand, you need to be able to enumerate and make sense of the help that is required in order to be able to deliver. So, using digital tools, what's amazing about Africa is Africa, to a large degree, leapfrogged the rest of the world, because we didn't go through this, and possibly in South Africa we did, through the sort of telecommunications roadmap where we had landlines and cables and all of these things.
Yeah.
Africa was fortunate in a certain way that we were able to jump straight to mobile.
Yeah.
And the networks in Africa have done an absolutely amazing job. The connectivity in Africa, considering the size of Africa, is actually remarkably good. Yes, sure, there are spots where there are connectivity holes, but to a large degree, I mean, if one looks at the connectivity that's available, for example, in Kenya or in Tanzania or in South Africa or anywhere in SADC, to be fair, we probably enjoy a better connectivity than probably North America, because you can literally get connectivity wherever you go, even if it's Edge or 3G or 4G, that doesn't really matter. But one can receive an SMS, one can receive text messaging, one can send text messaging, and one can communicate. And with those basic layers of communication, it's great to be able to deliver solutions that tackle these challenges using that lowest common denominator.